Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Swiss, doing Phillies Orioles in Baltimore. This should be a good series. That's what I'm doing in this video, but I'll go through all 15 games and the NBA Finals game on the live show. That's like 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So if you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Phillies O's in Baltimore. Let's go.
Welcome to the Swiss. The Swiss. Hey, get the Swiss.
All right, like I said, Phillies are on the road in Baltimore here. O's are minus 130 favorites at home. The total sitting at 8. Ranger Suarez is pitching for the Phillies. Kyle Bradish on the mound for Baltimore. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we got a slight lean on the Phillies through the first 5, 2.51 to 2.1. Final score, lean towards the Phillies, 4.6 to 3.83. All right, so let's take a look at this matchup, and we'll start with Kyle Bradish. Got some really nice-looking numbers on the season, 2.62 ERA and a 1.11 whip. Now, he does have a 5.19 ERA in his last 2 starts, but it's really skewed from one start, and we'll talk about it in a second. Here are his numbers at home. Again, these are all really skewed by just one really bad start. He got absolutely crushed by Tampa. That was on June 1st. 7 hits, 3 walks, and 5 earned runs in less than 3 innings of work. And you know what? The home start before that, Toronto got to him a little bit. I mean, it wasn't an absolute beatdown. 6 base runners and 2 earned runs in just 4 innings. So definitely a little concerning to see 2 bad home starts in a row for Kyle Bradish. But his home start before that was against the Yankees, and he pitched pretty well. So I wouldn't say that definitely means he's going to get lit up here. Now, the Phillies have been hitting on the road on the season, 7th at WRC+, 6th in OPS, 6th in WOBA. In the last 14 days, top 10 across the board. Numbers against righties, though, don't look great. Pretty average in the last 14 days. 15th in WRC+, 14th in OPS, 15th in WOBA. Pretty much the same for the last 30 days, the last 7 days. You can see here the last 5 righty starters to pitch against the Phillies combined for a 3.42 ERA and a 1.48 whip. So they're getting some guys on base, but not getting a ton of runs across against righty starters. And you look at the names here, I mean, these names don't exactly blow you away. Cutter Crawford gave the Phillies a little bit of a hard time. Colin Ray, 4 shutout innings. I mean, they did get 6 guys on base in those 4 innings. Bryce Wilson, 5 2/3, 3 runs. Lance Lynn, 4 shutout innings. I mean, I'm not saying the Phillies lineup are getting shut down by righty starters, but they're not exactly lighting them up. They did get to Pivetta, though. That was, as I'm recording this, that was last night. And I should know, I bet the under in that game wasn't even close. So the Phillies did get 10 base runners and 4 earned runs in just 4 innings off Pivetta. So maybe that's the Phillies bats waking up a little bit against right-handed pitching. Some bad news for the Phillies bats, though. Kyle Bradish actually has excellent numbers against lefty bats. On the season, 237 WOBA and an 0.94 whip against lefties. Phillies are pretty loaded with lefties. 5 lefties in the lineup, including their first 3 hitters. Schwarber, Stott, Harper, all lefties. And then you add on the fact that Kyle Bradish has 9 2/3 innings pitched against top 10 lineups this year, 1.86 ERA and a 1.14 whip. So he's actually pitched well when he's seen good lineups this year. Now, if you are trying to back the Phillies bats here, you can point at the fact that they have really good numbers on Kyle Bradish pitcher type, meaning Kyle Bradish is a strikeout guy. 34.03% strikeout rate on the season is insane. Phillies against righties with a strikeout rate above 24%. First in MLB. Nobody has scored runs and got guys on base at a higher rate against these types of pitchers than the Phillies. And then take it a step further, nobody scored more runs against good righty starters than the Phillies. Against righties with an ERA under 3.50, first in runs scored per inning. So there are a couple angles that point towards the Phillies scoring runs, but as a whole, I don't think it's crazy to think that Kyle Bradish throws a good game here. I actually like Kyle Bradish to pitch well. Now, on the other side, we got Ranger Suarez, who's been excellent this year. 1.81 ERA, 0.85 whip, 2.69 expected FIP. His ERA's up at a 3.95 in his last 3 starts, but you got to look specifically at the start, so we'll get to it in a second. His last 2 road starts, again, 4.63 ERA, 1.37 whip. But you look at those road starts, one was overseas in London, and there was 30 runs scored in that ballpark just a few games ago, back in 2019 or whatever that was. So yeah, he got hit up in that one, gave up a lot of base runners, but was overseas, and it was first game back after taking a line drive off the hand. And then the other one was on the road in Coors Field. Not going to put a blemish on anybody's resume for getting hit up in Coors Field. It's just a weird ballpark. So I'm not concerned with Ranger Suarez giving up a few runs in his last 2 road starts. It was very weird circumstances. Historically, he's been a guy you can trust on the road, so I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is it's Baltimore, one of the best lineups in baseball in the last 30 days, second in WRC+, second in OPS, second in WOBA. Obviously, we know Baltimore can definitely hit at home in Camden. In the last 30 days, this is the best home lineup in baseball. First. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Last year, Baltimore had arguably the best lineup in baseball against left-handed pitching. This year, they've actually been much better against righties. In fact, in the last 30 days, 14th, 17th, and 16th. Last 14 days, last 7 days, even worse than that. So Baltimore not really tagging up lefties like that. They've actually done much better against righties. And check this out. The last 5 lefty starters to pitch against the Orioles, 3.33 ERA and a 1.11 WHIP. So lefty starters have actually done a good job against Baltimore. Here are the game logs here. You can see they did get to Max Fried. Before that, didn't really get to Kikuchi, or actually didn't get to Kikuchi at all. Didn't get to Crochet before that, but nobody's getting to Crochet. They did get to Kikuchi a little bit back on May 15th, but only 1 run across. They had some base runners, but only scored 1 run. Before that, didn't really get to Mitchell Parker. Mitchell Parker pitched a great game against them. So, I mean, look at this list. It's been a while since we've seen Baltimore really light up a lefty starter. This is not 2023 anymore. So with Ranger Suarez stock being a little down after the 2 weird road starts, this might be a buy low spot for him. I mean, he's been one of the best lefties in baseball this year. Now, if you are looking to back the Baltimore bats, you can point at the fact that they've been very good against Ranger Suarez pitch mix as a left-handed pitcher. 5th in WOBA, 3rd in isolated power, 5th in run value against lefties with a similar pitch mix to Ranger Suarez. So as a whole in the first 5 innings, I know the Phillies have the starting pitching advantage with Ranger Suarez, but I also think Kyle Bradish is going to pitch well. So I'm leaning towards first 5 under here before I even look at the bullpen matchup. Speaking of which, pretty even. I mean, the Phillies bullpen been one of the hottest in baseball for a while, maybe starting to cool off a little bit, but still in the last 30 days, top 5 across the board. But Baltimore's bullpen's been good as hell too. In the last 30 days, 8th, 6th, and 23rd. In the last 14 days, 1st, 2nd, and 7th. So the Orioles bullpen has been good. And then you take into account that this game's in Camden, points to the O's even more. In the last 30 days, Baltimore's been the best home bullpen in baseball. Offensively, it points to the O's even more. So even though the Phillies have been the better bullpen, there's a couple circumstances here that makes me like Baltimore in the late innings. So late innings slight lean towards the O's. As far as usage, though, Baltimore might be a little more taxed. They did get to rest Kimbrel, and they did get to rest Cano, though. They used Perez and Webb, I believe, were the 2 they used in that 6-3 win over the Braves. So usage-wise, maybe Baltimore a little more taxed, but the Phillies haven't played yet. That game's about to start, depending on what happens there. So I'll let you know about the usage, but as of right now, I'm going to bet this first 5 under. I'm going to be on the first 5 under. I like both starting pitchers to pitch well. As far as the full game, probably leaning towards Baltimore, but I'm not trying to lay minus 130 against the Phillies. They keep finding a way to win games. So it might be a pass on the full game. We'll see how the bullpens play out, but definitely be on the first 5 under here. Like I said earlier, live show, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through every single game on the board. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets or top bets from anyone on the staff here, head over to KyleKirms.com and sign up for Sauce Network Plus. Comes with top bets, access to the Discord, and you can participate in our weekly betting league. So head over there if you're interested in that. Let's have ourselves a nice Friday. This has been a rough week for me. As a whole, this baseball season, I've been cruising. Been a nice MLB season to start. But this week, man, Tuesday and Wednesday specifically crushed me. So I really need to get back on track. We'll bounce back, though. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.